If you have a garden and a library, you have everything you need. A room without books is like a body without a soul. For books are more than books. They are the life, the very heart and core of ages past, the reason why men worked and died, the essence and quintessence of their lives. The function of wisdom is to discriminate between good and evil. Read at every weight. Read at all hours. Read within leisure. Read in times of labor. Read as one goes in. Read as one goes out. The task of the educated mind is simply put, read to lead. We must not only obtain wisdom, we must enjoy her. Knowledge which is divorced from justice may be called cunning rather than wisdom. Few are those who wish to be endowed with virtue rather than to seem so. Ability without honor is useless. It is the peculiar quality of a fool to perceive the faults of others and to forget his own. Nobody can give you wiser advice than yourself. If you heed yourself, you'll never go wrong. I am not ashamed to confess I am ignorant of what I do not know. Kindness is stronger than fear. Not for ourselves alone are we born. To be content with what we possess is the greatest and most secure of riches. Gratitude is not only the greatest of virtues, but the parent of all others. Diseases of the soul are more dangerous and more numerous than those of the body. Men decide far more problems by hate, love, lust, rage, sorrow, joy, hope, fear, illusion, or some other inward emotion than by reality, authority, legal standard, judicial precedent, or statute. I have always been of the opinion that unpopularity earned by doing what is right is not unpopularity at all, but glory. A mind without instruction can no more bear fruit than can a field, however fertile, without cultivation. When you wish to instruct, be brief. That men's minds take in quickly what you say, learn its lesson, and retain it faithfully. Every word that is unnecessary only pours over the side of a brimming mind. To teach is a necessity, to please is a sweetness, to persuade is a victory. The authority of those who teach is often an obstacle to those who want to learn. I criticize by creation, not by finding fault. It is not by muscle, speed, or physical dexterity that great things are achieved, but by reflection, force of character, and judgment. What one has, one ought to use, and whatever he does, he should do with all his might. Nature herself has imprinted on the minds of all the idea of God. God's law is right reason. When perfectly understood, it is called wisdom. When applied by government in regulating human relations, it is called justice. For there is but one essential justice which cements society, and one law which establishes this justice. True law is right reason in agreement with nature. It is of universal application, unchanging and everlasting. It summons to duty by its commands and averts from wrongdoing by its prohibitions. Whoever neglects this law, whether written or unwritten, is necessarily unjust and wicked. What is morally wrong can never be advantageous, even when it enables you to make some gain that you believe to be to your advantage. The mere act of believing that some wrongful course of action constitutes an advantage is pernicious. Law applied to its extreme is the greatest injustice. The closer the collapse of the empire, the crazier its laws are. In times of war, the law falls silent. I prefer the most unfair peace to the most righteous war. 6 mistakes mankind keeps making century after century. Believing that personal gain is made by crushing others. Worrying about things that cannot be changed or corrected. Insisting that a thing is impossible because we cannot accomplish it. Refusing to set aside trivial preferences. Neglecting development and refinement of the mind. Attempting to compel others to believe and live as we do. To be ignorant of what occurred before you were born is to remain always a child. For what is the worth of human life? unless it is woven into the life of our ancestors by the records of history? If no use is made of the labors of past ages, the world must remain always in the infancy of knowledge. Time obliterates the fictions of opinion and confirms the decisions of nature. Hours and days and months and years go by. The past returns no more, and what is to be we cannot know. But whatever the time gives us in which we live, we should therefore be content. While there's life, there's hope. We must not say every mistake is a foolish one. Any man can make mistakes, but only an idiot persists in his error. It is foolish to tear one's hair in grief as though sorrow would be made less by baldness. Life is nothing without friendship. Friendship improves happiness and abates misery by doubling our joys and dividing our grief. Never injure a friend, even in jest. Your enemies can kill you, but only your friends can hurt you. The shifts of fortune test the reliability of friends. The man who backbites an absent friend, who does not stand up for him when another blames him. The man who angles for bursts of laughter and for the repute of a wit, who can invent what he never saw, who cannot keep a secret. That man is black at heart. Mark and avoid him. Our span of life is brief, but is long enough for us to live well and honestly. The life of the dead is placed on the memories of the living. The love you gave in life keeps people alive beyond their time. Anyone who was given love will always live on in another's heart. The memory of a well-spent life is eternal. Marcus Tullius Cicero was one of the towering figures of the late Roman Republic. A statesman, philosopher, lawyer, and orator whose words still resonate more than 2,000 years later. He lived at a time of political collapse, when the Republic gave way to empire, yet he held fast to principles of justice, reason, and virtue. Unlike many of his contemporaries, Cicero believed true power did not lie in armies or wealth, but in wisdom, eloquence, and moral character. He defended the idea that laws must be rooted in nature and reason, that friendship is life's greatest treasure, and that the cultivation of the mind is the highest duty of a human being. Though he was eventually executed for opposing tyranny, Cicero left behind writings that shaped not only Roman thought, but also the foundations of Western philosophy, politics, and law. His reflections on life, justice, and the soul speak to us today with the same urgency they carried in a collapsing Rome.